What's going on, y'all? In this episode, I got Jantzen Witte, former TCU graduate and 12-year professional baseball player, played across all the levels that you can possibly play across in professional baseball, as well as playing out in Japan. He's going to provide a ton of great information. So if you're watching this at home, take some notes, grab a pen and paper. We're going to dive into things along, his journey from high school all the way to professional baseball, and then something that I'm really diving deep into right now is the mental side of the game. He's got some cool insights on that. And, he's been able to work with some of the best sports performance, I guess, thought leaders, individuals. I don't know what you want to call them in the game of baseball. So really, really excited to dive into that. So without further ado, man, like if you wouldn't mind just giving a quick intro and we'll kick it off.
Sure, bro. Thanks for having me. Yeah, like you said, I feel like you nailed everything. I played at TCU in college. I was lucky enough to end up there. I was a preferred walk-on to start, ended up earning a scholarship, and then got drafted by the Red Sox, played there for 7 years, and then went to the Mariners. I mean, there's stories in between, but went to the Mariners, then went to Japan, came back to the Padres, and then the Rangers, and here we are. I'm enjoying coaching a lot now and that's how I got to know you. And bro, I'm fired up what you're doing, and I'm fired up to be here.
Yes,
And
sir.
thanks to everybody else that's tuning in live. Like y'all are freaking studs for being here. That's awesome. I wish
Yes.
I could see your faces, but it's all good nonetheless.
I've been hosting these now for a little bit. I've yet to have a ton of people get their cameras on. I don't necessarily encourage it. I don't disencourage it, but I think some people are just a little shy. You never know.
Yeah, can I ask in the chat like why y'all don't show your faces? Because for my community, it's kind of the same deal, and I'm always curious. Like maybe you got something going on, like you're in the car or something. Like okay, but I'm straight up curious. But it's your show, bro. My bad.
I'm not gonna lie. I was trying to get a post out. I just put one live. I was gonna see if anybody else was gonna join in. But yeah, so my first questions and how I like to start these off for the most part is, I work with a lot of high school kids and I work with some college kids, but for the most part, I'm mainly working with high school kids. The community that I've built has been around high school players, and then I work with a high school travel ball organization. And so those are the guys who are mainly watching these videos. So can you take us to, Jantzen Witte in high school and what's going through that kid's mind and how you ended up getting to TCU?
Wow, bro, that was a long time ago. I'm 34 now, and remember back to high school is like crazy. But we had a good high school program. I mean, I was always a pretty good player. Like I wouldn't say toolsy. I just always was a pretty good hitter, and I played shortstop. Like I can vividly remember being afraid of fielding a backhand play in high school, and like any opportunity that I got on a ball to my right, I would run around it and field it in front of my body, and the dude would be safe. And it was like when I look back on that, I'm like, dude, what was I thinking? Like, and I remember being uncomfortable and being nervous, like, oh man, this guy's pretty fast. I hope he doesn't hit it to my right. So, like, when I think back to my career, like, advice I have is like, if there's something that makes you nervous on the field, like if you get stuck at second base and you're like, oof, I don't really like playing second base, you should go practice that a lot because, like, adding more tools to your tool belt is literally everything. And it was hard for me to kind of zoom out and see what I needed to work on. But if there's something you're uncomfortable with, that's probably the thing that you should address sooner rather than later. But went off on a tangent there. So high school, decent player. We had a good program, and I didn't know where I was going to go to school, and I didn't apply to any colleges. Like we were pretty confident I would go somewhere. And dude, I didn't find out I was going to TCU until a month before college started my freshman year.
Oh,
So
wow.
I'm just being like the most stressful time of my life. Like I had JUCOs coming around. I had some other small schools. Like I was from Arlington, Texas, and the University of Texas at Arlington had offered me, but just felt like my dad was like, dude, you need to go somewhere that has a football team. Like those are like fun times. Like you would be missing out, And I remember the coach on the visit was like, yeah, we encourage guys to drive down to Austin and go to some football games. And that just kind of rubbed us like, man, we're gonna hold out and see what comes down the pipeline. And last minute we had like Texas State, University of New Mexico, And as I was going to go take a visit to New Mexico, TCU called and offered, and it was a walk-on spot. But ever since we met Slosh, the head coach, like it just felt like a really good fit, and we were confident that like I just wanted to go to the best program possible and work my way up. And I ended up in a good spot there, and I'm really thankful and grateful that I ended up there. I still live here today in Fort Worth. I love it.
Let's go, man. I've made a visit or two to TCU. Actually, my first trip in college was to go to TCU, so love that
No
place.
way.
Yeah,
That's
love
awesome.
it, love it. So I think in today's world, man, with social media and the pressure of the outside world showing you everything that's good in everybody's lives, right when you get around, sophomore, junior year, it almost seems like if you're not getting those looks and you're not able to tell people that you've got schools knocking on your door that you feel almost lesser than, right? And now you're sitting here, a 12-year, veteran who went to arguably one of the greatest baseball programs in college history, and you didn't even get really talked to until your senior summer. So, what was going through your mind at that time between, junior year of getting no looks, senior year going by? Like, how do you deal with that, and what was going through your head?
Yeah, honestly, I've always been a late bloomer my whole career, and I grew up playing tennis as well. So it was like
Nice.
everything I did on the field like looked a little different than everybody else. Like I really felt like my tennis, like on a backhand play when I went to throw, it almost looked like my serve in tennis. And so like there were just little things that and my swing was a little bit different, but I always hit the ball. So honestly, we were always low key a little confused. Like, well, what's going on? Like I always hit the ball, but I didn't do when I look back, like my whole career, guys, it's crazy when you're able to look back. It's pretty eye-opening. Like, damn, there's a lot of things I could have done a lot better that like would have made me a better baseball player. Like, learn how to steal bases and like learn how to run the bases on your own. Like, I only attempted to steal when the coach gave me the sign. And so I never, even in college, like I remember going to summer ball and it was like hey, you've got the green light. I'm like, bro, I don't know. Like, I'm just gonna look at you. You tell me when to go. And I feel like that's kind of how I was my whole career. I just thought I need to hit and I need to play defense. But all the other little parts of the game, like, really matter when you're trying to get to a big time college program and ultimately get to the big leagues. So, yeah, that was kind of like my journey was that I think I could have focused on the little things and been more passionate about baseball and gotten a little bit more serious about it like I did in college, in high school. So which is hard. Like you're kind of you guys that are here doing this call, like this would have been really helpful to me to like hear other guys talk and yeah, like you're totally right. Like that's a really uncomfortable time because there's so many uncertainties, and now with the transfer portal and the opportunities, like better than ever to go to school for free and to get paid to go to school, even if it's $500 a month. Like, holy smokes, that's incredible.
Yep.
Going from where we came up, so there's just it feels like there's a lot more pressure, and that I feel for guys. Like one of my guys committed to University Air Force a couple months
Let's go.
ago and I asked him, I was like, dude, how does it feel? He's like, bro, it's the best. He said it's the best feeling he's ever had in his entire life. And I can like resonate with that. Like, once you figure out where you're going to school and it's low key your dream school, like, holy shit, dude. Like, it really is a kind of a goosebumps moment. So I'm just going to keep throwing out recommendations. But man, I really feel like you're talking about the mental game. Like I really feel like Evan, Kingsley, Steven, Michael, whoever else is in here, like Jackson, if you don't have your dream school written down and you don't think about that every day, like you're just probably you could spend this is my new thing. When you wake up, can I cuss? Is that okay?
Yeah, I don't care.
When you wake up, when you take a shit, and when you go to bed, you should be looking at your dream school, like an image of it, you writing down, like, I belong at TCU. I'm worthy of success. Like, all the hard work I put in got me to TCU. Pretend it's already
Mhm.
happened. And I guarantee when you're taking a dump, you're scrolling on your phone. So it's like, and I guarantee before you're going to bed, you're scrolling on your phone. So like make a picture of your dream school, like your screensaver, your
Ooh.
backdrop of your phone, or just like have a journal by your bed to where it's the first thing you think about when you wake up and the last thing you think about when you go to bed. And when you're taking a dump, just give it a shot. And guys, what do you got to lose? Like, people might think you're weird. First of all, they'll probably never know. And second of all, it's like it's worth a shot. Like there's so many stories of guys visualizing crazy, insane things, and then it's like luck goes their way, you know? So I'm just gonna keep throwing out
No,
recommendations.
I love it, man, because one of the things I have a lot of my guys do, and obviously we're going to talk a lot about, the mental conditioning of baseball and Brian Cain. I think that both of us, you probably more than me because you've lived it firsthand. You got to be around him. I got introduced to him in college. We did a whole study of the book, deep dive into that. But one of the things I have my guys do is write an I will statement, right? And we go through what their goals are. And then after they give me a list of like their goals, which includes, what school they're going to go to or what team they want to get drafted by or everything, it's a handwritten letter that you write to yourself that says, I will. And then, I like to have them go read it to their parents so that their parents understand, like, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. You have to make your goals first off known to you, because if you don't know where you're going, like you've got zero chance of getting there. And then you have to, bring in accountability partners, and there's nobody that's more accountable in your life probably than your parents. So like let them know what you're trying to do, because it makes everybody's lives easier. They know what you're working towards every single day. And when you give them that information, they are equipped with the tools to be able to help you better, right? So I love that. I want to dive deeper into the mental side of it, man. Like, can you tell us when you were introduced into all of this mental training? Can you give a description of who like Brian Cain is? And maybe you learned about mental conditioning before you got to TCU, but give us an intro into what mental,
Bro,
performance and conditioning is to you.
I'm gonna answer that question, but can I ask you a question real quick
Go
first?
ahead.
I've thought a lot about the accountability partners like within our program. Do you set anybody up like anyone within your program, like do they I've been thinking about randomly assigning an accountability partner. Have
Yeah,
you tried
so
that?
so we did that in college, and basically it was like an upperclassman mixed with like a lowerclassman. It was the upperclassman's job to be more accountable. In high school, I haven't done that yet. I'm pretty much everybody's accountability partner. I meet with the guys that I train pretty much like on a weekly basis through a Zoom call, or definitely every month, and have conversations about, okay, what are the goals that we set? Where did we get? I'm able to track all their stuff. I'm holding them accountable via text. So like I'm their accountability partner. As far as them having another person, no. Sometimes
I'm
I
thinking
think that
about doing
like,
that. I'm thinking
yeah.
about when you sign up with our program, it's like I'm gonna sign you, and I don't know if they're gonna know who the other one is. Like maybe it's up to them, but like, hey, this number is gonna text you every day for the next 30 days. And if they don't text you, it's like you hit me up and I'm gonna delete that guy and find you somebody else, or I'll be your guy for the next month, and like really see who's bought in. And I guarantee you, like if you do that every day for a month, your life is going to be different. Like in one freaking month, probably less. So I was just curious if you try that, because I've been racking that around, but I think I'm going to try to do that. But
I'll tell you, it,
maybe
it worked. It worked in college. Like it definitely worked for our college team. I think where you might run into trouble, I wouldn't say run into trouble, but like you might have some difficulties with the guys not knowing each other. If you're working with high school kids,
right,
not to throw any high school kids out there, like I think they don't like to communicate as much as like a college
100%.
kid would, or a grown adult.
100%. And that's like for me, it's kind of like I could really see like who's bought in and be like, guys, you don't even know who this person is, but every day you're going to text them 3 affirmations or whatever it is, just to
Ooh,
like, you know what I mean? Like something
yeah,
where it's every day. And if this dude doesn't do it, then like he's like,
he's
I'll
gone.
give you some
He's
grace, but like,
gone.
dude, you're not as committed as my other guy. And like I'm gonna remember that. And like, whatever. So I was just curious. But okay. The middle game, when I got introduced, like for me, growing up playing tennis, like it's obviously an individual sport, and dude, it's freaking tough. Like you can feel the pressure because like you can feel it's kind of an expensive sport. Like you're traveling around. I remember I had to have multiple rackets, and like you'd pop a string, we'd have to go to Oshman Sporting Goods to have a dude like heat it
Oshman
up.
or
Remember Oshman?
Before Sports Authority.
Hell yeah. And I remember it was like $25 or something. And it was like, damn, like you could just feel that. And so when you would lose to somebody that you knew you should have beaten, but you didn't play well or something happened, like, man, there was a lot of tears. Like, I remember looking around because a lot of the other kids, they didn't play other sports. And the way that they reacted was like super emotional. Like they would cry, like heavily cry. And so like it would hit me up too. Like I would be emotional and cry like when I lost sometimes, but like I feel like baseball was always good to kind of bring me back of like, dude, this is like it is a game, But I got introduced. There was a mental skills guy in tennis. His name was Jorge Valverde when I was like 12.
Mm.
And dude, we had like audio tapes I would listen to before bed. And I mean, we were pretty bought in. So I think that I didn't love it, like I
No,
was 12.
it's new. Yeah, it's different. It's uncomfortable. Why would you?
It was weird. It was super weird, but maybe it was great. I don't know. But so when I got to college, we got introduced to Brian Cain, who you were on the call. You're the man, by the way. When I had Jake Fraley on, like that was pretty cool. And
Can
so
you can you
Fraley
just
works with,
can you just yeah, can you just give a quick description for those that don't know who Brian Cain is?
yeah.
Like
So
who he
Brian Cain's a mental skills coach. I actually talked to one of his assistants today. We're about to team up, hopefully for something. But
is
Brian
awesome.
Cain is a mental skills coach. He's one of the best in the game. He worked with us at TCU. Now he works at Texas. Like all the big programs, like he's working with. And his big thing is like he's got like 10 pillars for success. I was able to work with another really good guy named Justin Sua, and they have like totally different approaches. Brian Cain is more like in your face, like get this done, get this done, get this done, and like that's how you live your best life, and that's how you perform. And you don't rise to the occasion, but you fall to your systems. Like there's things that are really good, and Justin Sue is the opposite, where when you're around this guy, you just like want to be around him more, and he makes you freaking love baseball and everything else. So there's different approaches to the mental side of things for sure. But so Kaner was great for us in college because we really drilled in the things that he believed in. Like we practiced getting ready for our bat when you're fourth guy up, and like when you put on your batting gloves, like you could feel like you were really getting locked in. And when you were on deck, we were thinking things. When you walked, we practiced walking to the plate. We practiced getting out. We practiced when the umpire made a bad call, we needed a release. Like we either looked at the foul pole or spit on the ground or like undid our gloves. And we literally practiced all that stuff. And so when I got to pro ball, I didn't realize that other schools weren't doing similar things. Like I felt way more prepared to deal with failure than especially the kids who signed out of high school. So I do think we all know the mental game is important. And once you get to pro ball, you realize like, damn, everybody's pretty good. Like, why do those guys stay? And it's the mental side of things for sure. Like those guys are freak athletes up there. But I would say we all know the mental side is huge, but you really need to practice what is going to happen in order for you to really be prepared for when the shit hits the fan.
Yeah, so that I mean that's incredible, man. I mean the amount of detail that goes into playing baseball at a high level, I think some of the kids listening probably don't even understand or can't even understand at this level yet, where it's like literally you're practicing getting a bad call called on you in at bat. A coach might in a scrimmage call a ball that was 2 feet outside a strike just to see how you perform in the next pitch and see if it rattles you. And that's the type of,
Well
intense
said.
focus
Yeah.
that you need in order to have success. And so for high school kids or even college kids who maybe don't have the privilege of having a mental performance coach, right at their school, where do they go to begin? Like, how does somebody get introduced into the mental side? They hear it all the time. This
Bro,
game's
they go to
all mental,
you.
all mental. Like, where do they
Like,
go?
bro, that's what we're doing. Because we've played pro ball and we've been around these dudes, like the fact that these guys are working with you, like compare that to just a normal local dude that guys work with. Like you cannot compare the two because when you spend an hour with someone in the cage or on the mound throwing a bullpen, like it's like you've got another kid coming and like you're just trying to end on a good one and you're trying it's like everything is so short term, but when they get to work with you and you have a course planned out and like they have access to you and you do a group call like this, like if dudes would just log on once a week and listen to you talk to other pros and other experts, like you're going to get better. If you provide them with structure, they're going to get better because every high school kid that's not doing what we're offering, they're just showing up and playing. And like, they're looking at Instagram and trying to figure out which drill to do and why their swing isn't as pretty as these other guys. And they're looking at video too much and like they're not practicing the right things. But that's where we come in. So like mental skills, you could go pay Brian Cain, like, and he's worth it, 100% worth it if you can afford it, like $500 a month. Or you can go work with you for probably cheaper than that and get work on the mental side. So I would say if you want these kids to get introduced and really start nailing the mental side, you are way more prepared than other people to freaking buy in and start really honing down and teaching them that stuff because you and I both know it's really important. Like I'm planning on going way all in on the mental side. Like we don't need a degree and like it used to be. If you want to go work for a team, like you needed to have whatever background to do mental skills. Like that's not the case. Like I can motivate you. I can get you fired up. I can like help you when you're down. And that's the part of being a mentor.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I know you're doing. So I think these guys are in the right spot and that there's a new just wave of coaching coming. And I mean, it's already here. We're already doing it, but like kids are so much better off working. I mean, pat on our backs, working with us than like the random dude down the street who like barely has any availability. Like it's just
Yeah, and I mean,
really
you don't
funny to
have to
me
have a
how that's working
degree.
out.
Like, you don't have to have a degree in terms of like going to school, but like you have to have a degree in like failure. You have to have a degree in basically just going through a bunch of hard shit over and over and over again, and coming on the other side and being like, yeah, I did that. And then like I always explain it to people like, look, your baseball career is like climbing this mountain. And like, I'm not going to give you a map and I'm not going to give you any tools. And I'm just going to say, like, get to the top of that mountain. Good luck. And guys like us, depending on where you go, like some guys make it all the way to the mountain. Like, you have the opportunity to work with like a Mike Trout. Mike Trout lives on top of the mountain. So like if you ever got to work with him, kudos to you. Where I see myself is like I've climbed this mountain to a certain height and I can show you the path that I took. And when I look back down at the mountain, I see where that guy went wrong and where that guy turned away and like where that guy had to stop because he came across this freaking waterfall that maybe he couldn't get across. And now I can come back down and bring people the path that I came and also show you like, hey, I saw this guy take this path. I didn't take this path, but like it seemed like that worked out pretty well for him. So like you should go explore over here. And I think that's kind of the analogy that I use, and that helps me with like understanding how kids are
Yeah.
trying to keep going.
And you care, bro. Like you're here to help. Like I don't know about you, I always felt weird telling people on Instagram like what I'm doing. Like I still struggle with it, but it's like because you feel like you're selling something, but it's like, dude, I'm like, I legitimately want to help you so much that like you're gonna end up in a good spot. Like I don't know how else to get that across besides like I can't speak for anybody else, but like when you sign on with me, I'm gonna do whatever the frick I can to like get you to your dream school and get you to pro ball. Like you tell me what your goals are, and like I'm all in to help you do that. Like, and I know you're the same way. So yeah, I love the analogy. I love that, you took your path, you can show them that, but you've also had experiences with other people that like we're constantly learning from other people. Like I'm so lucky to be around Bobby Witt Jr., Matt Carpenter, and all these other dudes. Like I get to hit with those guys. I get to hear what they're working on. It's like it's a mind blown thing every day. Like it's just somehow I've lucked into this good spot where I'm around good people, but that's what these kids get to do with you. Like they've lucked into getting to work with you.
Yeah. And so let's talk about that. Like you get to work with all of these great athletes. I think when I was younger, I used to think that people are working on, people who are at the highest level are working on something that's so top secret that like I'll never get to know what they're working on, right? Like they're doing drills that like I've never even heard of. But then when you get up there and you start seeing who you're around, it's like, bro, I was doing the same stuff when I was like 12 years old. They're just doing it with like a much more intense focus and a little bit more
Exactly.
in-depth detail. Can you give some like insight into that? Like what you guys are working on at such a high level compared to like what the majority of kids are working on these days?
Bro, I've legit thought about that a lot. And ever since Carp talked about a big unlock for him was getting to big league spring training and realizing that like these top players like make errors and they roll over balls. And that was the experience I had when I mean, first I went to camp, I was like 30. Like I think I saw when I was like 29, I saw David Ortiz hit like six rollovers in a row. And I was like, whoa,
Human.
like, okay, like he's human. I saw Mookie in the cage and like what his drills were, and just I saw them miss hit balls. And that was a really eye-opening thing for me. And I've been thinking about that a lot. Like what I'm about to start dropping is like raw, like I'm gonna film an hour in the cage. I'm gonna get permission, but like I want you to see all these guys' shitty swings. If you're willing to watch an hour worth of cage work and conversations where we're mic'd up, I feel like there's a lot of value in that for that exact reason because all we see are highlights. Like that's all we see are homers and strikeouts. And these guys don't look human, but they are. And so I would say I would totally agree with you. Like, what are guys working on? Like what Bobby and like Carp are talking about, like it's such intricate details and like honestly the high school kids don't even it is different because of all the analytics that they have like Carp really cares about what the guy's perceived velo is, like high school kids don't know that, but I've heard Corey Seager doesn't even ask what the velo is. He just wants to know the pitch shapes and like, hey, what should I look for right here? Like he'll ask Donnie Ecker before he goes up, like, hey, what should I look for? Like which zone? And that's his approach. And he trains slow. Like he hits slow curveballs all day long and then goes up and a dude's throwing 100 and it's like no problem. So like everybody's different, but like what you tapped on as far as the focus and intense focus, like I got to interview Sam Hilliard and he was talking about Arenado and Goldsmith. And he said those two guys, he's never seen anyone work harder than those guys and never seen anybody so dialed in with such focus every single day. And it
But
shows.
I'm more talking about, and that was a great answer. That was a great answer. I love that. I'm talking about like from a drill standpoint. I think everybody thinks that like, oh, I gotta be doing like these secret drills that only a handful of people in the world know. And then you watch like somebody go through their T routine, and it's like the same T routine that you were maybe taught when you were like five. It's like
Yeah.
when you watched like David Ortiz or when you watch like Alex Rodriguez break down their T routine when they're on MLB Network, you're just like, dude, there's nothing like crazy to this. It's just how they're, focusing their mind when they're in those at bats and in those swings, right? Like,
It goes
talk
back
about
to the
that.
mental game. Like, dude, their confidence allows them to do the same things that everyone else is doing, but getting totally different results from it. Like, I hit with a guy who's in the big leagues this year. I hit with him today, and like, I asked him what his routine is, and he just goes to the cage and hits. I'm like, what? Like, he's never done a water bag. He's never done any of the stuff that I do or teach. And it was kind of eye opening of like, dang, like I didn't think there were anybody else out there like you, but there are. Like everybody's doing about the same stuff. Like what you see on Instagram is like, everyone's doing the same drills. It's just you need to find out what drills are best for you because some of them you're not ready for some of the drills. Like you might not be able, you might not need to do the step back right now. You might need to do the opposite. And then a couple weeks from now, you need to do the step back. But you need someone like you or us to like help you navigate of like how to keep you in the middle.
Yeah.
I don't know if I really gave you a good answer.
No,
So
you definitely did. You definitely did. You basically just said like, hey, people are working on the same thing, just the level of focus is different. I want to kind of switch and pivot a little bit here. I want to talk about pregame and pre at bat routines. I think this is something that is obviously at the highest level being taught, and like people are trying to, but even then, like I feel like some of the guys that I played with and pitched with, like they didn't have like these great routines. I know I didn't have a great routine until, probably my last year of pro ball. Like, can you talk about first off your routine and then talk about how somebody gets to a pregame, pre-pitch routine? Like what goes into it for you?
yeah, I mean, pro ball is definitely different than college and high school just because like our routine starts pretty much when we wake up. Like what I eat is pretty important. Like I wake up and I get out in the sunshine, I walk barefoot, like all those things really set myself up for having a good day where high school, you don't have the luxury to do that. But I would say that routine was probably like top two biggest things that ever like influenced my career. Like I couldn't even tell you number one right now, but it's up there. And I would say like my routine really was a little lengthy. I would get to the field. If I was comfortable where I was at, I would pop my shirt off, I would take my shoes off, and I would walk around the outfield. And I would say some affirmations, or like I would just get dialed in and fired up, like whether I was in the lineup that day or not. Like I really didn't know at that point. So I tried to treat every day the same. And for me, a big deal was like getting my ankles loose and like spreading out my toes and getting my feet to work. Like I found that when I worked from the ground up, as far as like getting loose, my hips and my back, I never had an issue. Whereas when I was always in shoes and didn't really have a routine, like my back would flare up every now and then. But so I would do that. I would get really loose out in the outfield. I'd come back, I'd take a shower, put my contacts in, and then I'd head to the cage. Or before the cage, I would go to the weight room and I would do a couple like try to open up like my upper back a little bit and make sure like my core was turned on. I mean, you can tell like it's pretty detailed. Like I did the same thing pretty much every day. And then I would go to the cage. I had a routine. Like, I mean, I can go through like I changed every year. It changed like every couple months a little bit, but I would have the same drills that I pretty much did. If things were going well, I hammered them out. If they weren't going well, I ended up towards the end of my career having like a checklist of drills. Like if I felt like I was pulling off the ball, I have a couple of drills to clean that up. And so I would go down the list when something was off. I would hit those drills until it felt like I cleaned it up, and then I would take a couple swings and get out of there.
Yeah. What about in high school and college? Did you have, like you said, obviously it's a little bit more difficult to have a routine in high school and college. You're coming out of school, you're trying to make that transition from, hey, I'm Jantzen, the school kid, and now I'm Jantzen, the competitor. Like, how do you make that mind shift switch at that age?
Yeah, I think, and that goes back to what we were taught. So I can't speak too much on high school because I feel like I just like did what everybody else did. Like I
Yep.
wasn't dialed in. I just felt like I didn't really know. We didn't have social media or internet. I just went out there and played. College, I feel like you need to have a switch that turns on. I was always good about once the game started, I could really compete. And I don't know what that was or what, but like I think there needs to be something that happens when you put on your jersey and you walk between the lines, that like you're a different person. And it's like a better version of yourself. And it's a cockier, I mean, it's a different version of yourself for sure.
Almost
But
like
I
an alter
also
ego or what?
just like outside of baseball, I feel like I was always taught in like how to be as humble as possible and like probably say, oh, sorry, like too much. And then during the game, it's like when you're facing a pitcher, like, dude, it's I don't know. It's a very kind of tenacious deal where and I wasn't like I don't hate the other guy. Like I looked at him more as like my partner, but like I didn't want to get out. And like when I got to two strikes, I knew I was better like with two strikes than without. Like you just have to trick yourself. And like Kane's big thing is act as if, act as if you've got I don't want to he's got some questionable things, but like you need to maybe alter ego. I don't know. Like I'm a Kanye West fan, like as far as his music, and like I love what he talks about with confidence. That like people talk about overconfident being a bad thing, and he's like, what? Why is that a bad thing? Like I want to accomplish really cool things. Like I don't want to just like walk around this life and just be like everybody else. Like I think there's a lot of value to that. I think you need to find a way that when you strap on your batting gloves or you put your glove on or whatever it is as a pitcher, that like you need to feel like you're going to battle and like you're going into the octagon, and you need to have some type of switch that kicks on, that just tells you like, hey, it's time to go. Like this is where you make your money. This is where you make your family proud, and you need to figure out like how to tap into that sense of pride. And I think if you figure out like your why for your goals, once again, it goes back to the mental game. Like then you won't nothing will surprise you and nothing will kind of like stand in your way once you feel like you know why you're working so hard.
Definitely, definitely. So two things that I want to get from that. I'll come back to the why. You mentioned like just the confidence piece. How does one gain more confidence in your opinion? Like you're somebody who doesn't have confidence. How do you get it?
Bro, discipline. Like, first of all, you need to make like crazy high goals. Like, your North Star needs to be something that probably no one else really knows. But like deep down, you like you need to make a change.
Borderline believe it. You're like, ah,
But
shit.
yeah, dude, like it's crazy. And you understand it's crazy, but you need to tell yourself that it's really possible because you know what? There's someone out there, there's probably hundreds of thousands, maybe more, tens of thousands of people who have less opportunity than you, and they make it 10 times more than everybody else. So like if they can do it, why can't you? Like, why can't you play in the big leagues? Why can't you be an all-star in the big leagues? Like, you need to have crazy goals. And I think once you have that set, like your nutrition gets cleaned up, your sleep gets cleaned up. Like instead of playing video games till 3, 4 in the morning, it's like, dude, I need to get some sleep because I've got some shit to do tomorrow. Like I need to make good grades because I want to go to college. And it's not that you want to go to school, but like you want to put on the uniform at TCU and feel that pride and go to Omaha and like your teachers treat you differently and like girls look at you differently. Like there's a lot of things that you can tap into with just your why, like we can talk about. But I feel like once you have that high goal and then you start in like bringing in discipline, like I feel like confidence comes from like you feeling like and knowing that you consistently do the right thing. Like you
You
are
are who you
doing
say
the
you are.
thing. Say that again.
You are who you say you are, and you believe it. Like if you're saying
Yeah,
I'm a
like
beast, like you've done what it takes to be known as a beast.
yeah. And if you just put the work in, you're going to be confident. Like if you're working harder than everybody else, and you don't have to like, it could be working smarter, like you're in high school, you might have a job, you might have like the odds stacked against you, but like if when you go to work, you have intense focus and you visualize when you're like not doing that, like when you're waking up, going to bed and taking a dump, if you're visualizing like your best self and not just what it looks like, but what it feels like to like accomplish those things, like, dude, you're gonna have confidence. Like just give yourself some grace and give yourself a little bit of time and keep putting the work in. And if you end up playing at the smallest, shittiest JUCO in the nation, like there's something to be proud of that because the work and the journey never ends. Like you just keep plugging away until you start chipping away at your goals. Like I wish that I had this mindset more when I played.
Yeah.
Just like everybody else. It's like as soon as you're done, when you look back, you have a totally different perspective of when you're in it. Like I was way too comfortable in AAA. I'm like, dude, this is nice. I'm making decent money. I get to the hotel. I'm here for 6 days. I'm playing with my buddies. It's like no pressure. Like you play in front of fans, but if you boot a ball, it's not going to be on ESPN. It's not like the big leagues. Guys that came down from the big leagues were like super stressed. And I was always kind of happy go lucky. And so I was way too comfortable in AAA. I wish I had like we talked about the why and just super high goals. Like I think I really sold myself short that I'm realizing now, and I'm not going to make that same mistake twice.
Definitely. And so I want to talk too about the person that you have to become, like the better version of yourself, and how that person is not just who you are on the baseball field, like it's in every aspect of your life. Can you talk about the person that you envision becoming, like your future version of you? Does that make sense? Like if you want
Yeah.
to play in the big leagues, what does that version of you look like and how do you get there? Is it just becoming a better baseball player? No, it's becoming a better human being. It's becoming better in all these different aspects of your life. So can you touch on like what that means to you?
Yeah, like it's hard for me to think back to high school exactly like
No, no,
what.
no, just in college or the pros,
Sure,
like
sure, sure.
when you
Like
were
for
when you
me,
got drafted, like and you're like, how do I get to the big leagues? What does that version of me look like?
I
What I
didn't do it. Like I wish I would have. I really didn't do it. I always just kind of like played. I didn't love baseball until I was legitimately probably 30 years old. I just played baseball and like I was always just pretty good at it. Like I didn't have this crazy amazing mindset and I really didn't love baseball until I got away from it. Like during COVID, I was blown away. I was in big league camp, had a great camp, like legit thought I had a chance to make the big league team with the Red Sox. We got shut down and they called me. Like I was working out, taking at bats the whole time, better than I've ever felt before. And they called me and said I wasn't going to be one of the 60 guys that they brought back. And I was crushed. So I quit and I went and got a job and I hated it. And then the Mariners, I told my wife, hey, we're done. I had no money. We were pregnant. So I told her we were done or that I was done. And I went and got a job, hated it. And then the Mariners called me and I was like, yeah, baby, I'm back. Like I hadn't thrown it for months. They asked me, are you playing winter ball? I was like, no winter ball, but I'm good to go. So I showed up out of shape, but whatever, put together a great year. And that was the year I fell in love with baseball again because I got away from the game. So that's where like I keep going back to like you need to figure out your why and you need to spend less time playing video games and sitting on social media and more time just kind of sitting by yourself with a journal and really picture like what you want your life to look like. Like if it's playing in the big leagues, like okay, like if you get better at every aspect of your life, if you're more confident talking to girls, if you're more confident like taking tests because you prepared and like you studied for them, you're going to be a different person. Like if you're scared of something, you should lean in and figure out how to do that. Like if I'm scared of snakes, bro, like legitimately scared of snakes. And I'm like, my next thing is like, I got to go hold a snake, like I got to like tame the beast. Like I really feel like especially on the field. If there's things, like I said, like a backhand play always made me nervous. And once I learned how to feel the backhand play the right way, I was like, oh my God, I'm not nervous at all anymore. Like I was automatically a better player. And I guarantee you there's things like that in every facet of all these guys' lives that like if you clean that up and just become the best version of yourself, like when you see a piece of trash on the ground, like freaking pick it up and throw it away. Like when your closet's a disaster, like mine is right now, oh my God, I got to go clean it up. Like just organize your life and start being disciplined in everything. And we were taught this in college, and I thought it was BS, wake up, make your bed. Like I still don't make my bed. I like that shit to air out.
Nah,
Feels
man.
weird to me to just cover it up,
I be
but I
talking to
get
my
it.
guys all the time. I'm like, yo, the first thing we're gonna do, like, hey, one of my first questions to them when I'm working with them is like, hey, are you making your bed in the morning? Because like that's the easiest thing. Like it's an automatic win. It's easy. And then my favorite thing, I don't know if you saw the Texas Longhorn, the captain who does like the 10, 20 minute
Oh, the
conversation
speech.
commencement speech. You know what
Yeah,
I'm talking about?
amazing. Make your
Yeah,
bed.
and he's just like, you know what? It may not mean anything, but at the end of the day, if you had a shitty day, at the very least, you'll come home to a made bed. And like that
Yeah, that's
is like,
true.
yeah, that means
Yeah, when
everything.
you walk in your room, that room, like usually my wife sits doing it, I'm like, damn, baby, like this, it feels nice. Like, damn, thanks for making the bed. So for sure, like organize your life, organize your career 100%. Like, it's just like, you might as well clean up your life as much as possible. Like, why not? And like, how could that not help you be a better baseball player? Like, if you're the best player on earth and you want to go play at the University of Tennessee, but you have a GPA of like 1.8, like you shot yourself in the foot. Like you're not going to get that opportunity anymore. Like, so just why not clean up everything? Like you don't need to do anything, but you could make a decision today or tomorrow or whenever it is. Like if your face hits some shit, this is one thing Matt Carpenter really talks about. Before I knew him, and I played with him in college for 1 year, but before I knew him, he was apparently a disaster. Out of shape, like just partying all the time. And
Real quick, for those that don't know that are too young, that are high schoolers, Matt Carpenter, like a 13, what is he, like a 10-time
yeah,
All-Star, like TCU
not
game guy.
superstar, Silver Slugger winner, World Series champ. Like this dude is like an absolute stud in all facets of life, like truly. And he just said he was a mess and he feels like he got hurt, tore his Tommy John as an infielder. He was like, because I was out of shape. And so he decided, because Slosh, our coach, Jim Sloshingle, sat him down and said, hey, you can make a decision today to clean up your life. And like basically he took that to heart and changed his life that day, decided he was going to be better. And look at this guy's life now. He's made like $80 million. Like it's insane.
Have you seen that Nick Saban speech about like if you want to be great, you don't have a lot of choices. Like you really
Yeah.
don't at the end of the day when you break it down. Like You don't. Like everybody here on this call knows the choices that need to be made in order for them to be successful. It's just, am I willing to do it? And am I willing to do it as consistently as possible? Like that's
Yeah.
it. Like there's not a single person here that doesn't know what they're weak at and they know how to get better at it. It's just whether or not you're going to decide to focus on that and if you're going to make a decision to do that on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. One of the things that you talk about that I've heard you talk about a lot, something that I wish I did more, and I'm trying, like I literally have it on my calendar to do it tomorrow, first thing in the morning, is journaling. Talk to me about like what journaling means to you and like how that helped you evolve in your professional career.
Once again, bro, like all of this stuff, I'm looking for it right now. I've got it with me all the time. Like I've always got this backpack with me, but I didn't do this stuff when I played. And that's like why I'm like so passionate about it now is because I'm picking it up now and it changes my life like really quickly. And so all these things are me like not begging, but I'm like, hey guys, do this now. I'm telling you, and like maybe it's not journaling for you, maybe it's something else. But for me, when I wake up and it's called the 5 minute journal, and I love it. When I wake up, the first thing it's like write three things you're grateful for. And like I've got two little boys, and I usually the older one will sleep with us. He'll start in his bed, and then he'll come sit with us, and it's freaking great. And so it's like every morning I'm reminded, like, last night I got to cuddle with Luca. I woke up where he's just so freaking cute right there. And so you write three things you're grateful for, two things that, hey, what would need to happen to make today a great day? I write that down, and something you're grateful for. It could be like, dude, I woke up today. Like my heart is working perfectly. I can see everything. I'm in this like comfortable home where I'm not freezing cold, like it's little things, but just taking a second to appreciate those. And then there's affirmations, and it's like, make them your own. But like, what's really crazy is as soon as you start doing this, you're going to start noticing things throughout your day. And you're like, damn, like, does that usually happen? And I just don't notice it. Or like, for example, one of my affirmations when I first started doing this was like, I want to be the person that like super talented or super amazing people like want to reach out to me and be a part of what I'm doing. And literally the next day, I had a guy that I hadn't talked to in a while text me and say, dude, I love what you're doing on Instagram and I want to be a part of it. And I was like, what? Like, dude, I hadn't, it's just like weird things start to happen. And it makes me question like what's really going on in this life, in this world. Like you hear all these crazy stories. Jim Carrey wrote a check to himself for $10 million, right? I'm sure you've heard this,
Oh yeah.
and gave himself a certain timeline. And he's like, I'm going to make $10 million by the time this date hits. And right before that date hit, he signed on with Dumb and Dumber for $10 million. And there's so many stories like The Secret, right? Like if you put it out there in the world, and not many people on this call will do this, but maybe one person will, and it'll be worth it. Like if you start doing this stuff, you're going to notice things differently. And all of a sudden, like this computer we've got up here, you're going to reprogram it and it's going to be extremely special. Like, bro, look at Nick, our like mentor with doing this whole journey. Like, I just got back from Arizona, and that guy, did you hear about what he did with his like vision board and what he showed us?
I didn't hear about that. For those that don't know, Jantzen and I were a part of a community. Basically, there's a guy out there who helps guys like Jantzen and I who have all of this baseball knowledge, but don't know how to package it up and give it to people online. Like this guy was out there training like 250 kids a month online, figured out how to crack the code, and now works with guys who y'all follow all the time. Guys like Ian Jenkins, guys like Jantzen, guys like DR Hitting, anybody big on social media that does baseball, chances are they're in the community that we have learned from. And this guy is just unreal. This guy was a D1 baseball player as well. Maybe I'll get him on this call for you guys to talk to. Now the dude turns in like $300,000 a year just doing what he's doing. Like it's incredible. The dude's like 26 years old, man. Like
Yeah. Well, so the
unreal.
coolest thing was he showed us his vision board. So we're sitting in his apartment, and the view from his apartment is Camelback Mountain. Like it's huge. Like he's got a dream apartment. And he showed us his vision board. And I swear to God, bro, the exact view on his vision board that he looked at every day for 7 months was the exact view of the apartment that he had just moved into, like before we went live with the deal. Like it was just like seeing it happen firsthand was like, okay, I'm doing this. Like there's no reason for me to not wake up and look at this shit and just like make it happen. Like all of a sudden your like world will be opened up. Like I don't know, it's like you crack open a nut in here and all of a sudden it feels like things that seem unlikely feel really possible.
Yeah, you just have to plant the seed, really. Like you just have to plant the seed and give it some time for it to grow. Like it's not going to happen for you guys tomorrow, and you're not going to be able to be like, "Oh my God, I see so clearly now exactly." I mean, maybe somebody might. Like there's definitely stories of people doing that, but you start paying attention, like you said, to little details, and you'll start to understand like where you're trying to go, and things become a lot more clear. And I think that's where, as a baseball player and as human beings, like is the best place to be is in a place of like straight clarity and just understanding what you're trying to do on a daily basis, and then you block out everything else and nothing else really matters. Because once you get on that space, when I was on my pursuit to make it to the big leagues, like there weren't a lot of things out there that I had my focus on. It was like, yo, make sure that I eat every day as best as I can, make sure I drink my water, make sure I get my rest, and make sure I go to the gym. Like I didn't have to focus on much else because I was so clear on like the direction that I wanted to go. And until you get to that point, like you're just probably not going to attain the goals that you want because your focus is in too many different areas and you haven't really sat down with yourself, like you said, and had conversations about like, what do you want out of your life? Because the moment you decide that, again, like it clears up so many decisions. And like Nick Saban says, like you don't have a lot of decisions, like if you want to be great. So you're
That's
good.
a great speech. And
Like
man, I would challenge everybody here to like you probably feel like you don't have much time to work on baseball. Like you got school, you got a job, you got a girlfriend, you got all these things. I would challenge you to look at your screen time and like go be blown away by how often you're looking at your phone. And if you dedicate an extra 45 minutes a day to baseball instead of Instagram, like you still have time to do your Instagram and TikTok, everything else. But like for me, the screen time is pretty eye opening of like how high some of these numbers are. And like, bro, just take a little break from that and work on your craft. It will be worth it.
yeah, my thing that I like to tell people and try to put out there, and I try to do it myself too, is like, man, if you just disappear for like 6 months and you don't tell anybody anything and you just go find yourself and you just try to get as good at baseball or good at whatever craft that you're working on as possible, and then pop back up 6 months later and a whole new person, like people are gonna notice and you're gonna have a life-changing experience there. Like I promise you guys, it really only Jansen's saying it takes 1 month to really change your life. Like I promise you, if you put 6 months of hard work together, of intense focus on whatever it is that your goal is, like you will see your life change for the better, for baseball and just in general. So yeah, I love that, man. I'm getting all fired up right now. I might go to the gym, probably go to sleep, but I want to go to the gym because I'm all jacked up. Some advice that you would give, man, like you're somebody who's done everything at such a high level, like what advice would you give to just a younger Jansen?
Oof. Yeah. I mean, basically everything we're talking about, like I would be really systematic with my routine to where, like we talked about, the 3 times a day, I would be visualizing what like the type of person I want to be and like what I want to achieve. I would start way earlier, like finishing every shower with cold water. Like there's something about that that's like really hard to do. But once you start doing it, it's like, oh, this is actually like you kind of look forward to having some freaking really cold water. But I find like I wish I basically it's building little things of discipline. Like you said, making your bed, finish the shower with cold. There's times you don't want to, and you're like, oh God dang it, I got to, and you go do it and you feel great about it. And like I notice when I finish the shower with cold, I eat better. And when I eat better, I don't cheat any reps in the weight room. And when I don't cheat any reps in the weight room, I'm more tired and I go to bed on time. And like I started wearing like honestly, bro, these red glasses at night, I feel like are a freaking must. Like if you want to like recover, it's such an easy, these are like $60, which maybe in high school, that's a crazy thing to even think about. But then again, a Chipotle bowl, I swear to God, is like $30 now. But like little things like that, I feel like when you start setting your goals high, you start realizing that like, damn, every little thing matters. Like my recovery is pretty freaking important. And I played Halo 2 all night my entire high school career. Like I was obsessed with that. And looking back, I would sleep during class, I made my grades were fine, everything, but like there's just a lot of things like that I would try to set goals sooner and journal and just find ways to be more disciplined.
Yeah.
Because if you want to play in the big leagues, like go look at those guys' bodies. Like they're a little dumpy sometimes, but like those are big dudes. And mentally, like those dudes are the best in the world because we chose to play the hardest game in the world. Like, dude, hitting the ball is hard. Throwing strikes is hard. Like, it's way harder than shooting a free throw. Like it's the same thing no matter where you're at. Like it's hard to compare other sports with baseball.
100%, 100%. One thing I forgot to do, we only got 2 minutes left, so I'm going to ask real quick with the amount of people we have on
We
here.
can go longer, by the way. It's up to you. Like,
Yeah, well, I just want to get some question and answers. Typically, I do like 30
oh, sure.
minutes of people, but I wanted to open it up to the community. Guys, if you want to put your questions in the chat or if you want to come off of mute and ask Jantzen some questions, I mean, guys, take advantage of this, man. Like, this is why I host these things. This is why I have these so that guys can pick, guys like his brain. Like, you don't get to talk to somebody like him every single day, so you might as well utilize the time that you have with him and start, making an impact on your own career. So does anybody have any questions?
I bet no one does. Somebody prove me wrong.
I bet you hopefully my boy Michael Mejia is on here. Give a question of some sort.
Oh, it's so funny, bro. Here we go.
Every time.
Mejia, dude, you're the best.
Jackson Tolan.
What was my biggest distraction in high school? Um, Honestly, probably video games. Like, God, dog, those are some fun times though. But um, the thing is, like, my career, like, or just growing up in that time was like different than now. Like, y'all have so much info that it's almost like hard to know what to do or what to look at. But yeah, I would say probably video games. Like, I wish I was more just focused.
And then we got
How did
another.
Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah. How did you manage classes and train at the same time in college and high school?
Dude, college, you don't have a choice. Like high school, I didn't do much more. Like I was just on a select team and the high school team. So like I just went to those practices and then, dude, high school is hard for me to remember, to be honest. But like college, you just had to do it. Like your college schedule, your freshman year is absolutely insane. You wake up, you go to weights. You barely have time to eat. Well, now it's different. When I was in school, it's how it was. You barely had time to eat, you go to class. When you finish class, you might have an hour break and then you go to practice. And you're getting crushed at practice. And then after practice, you're going to tutoring. And that's pretty much every day. Like, and then like Halloween weekend, you'd be so excited. And then Brian Cain, the middle skills coach guy, would come in town and all your weekend would be shot. So like, dude, college is a grind. Like as far as like managing both, like you just learn to do it. And like I was always just taught like we had high standards. Like, dude, you need to go make good grades. Like it matters a lot. So I would say, YouTube, you can learn anything you want to now. So it's a little different, a little harder to get jacked up for school. But like if you want to play college baseball, your grades are gonna matter.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's about being disciplined too. I mean, for those that want to play or want to play be a pitcher and a hitter as well, like that makes life 10 times harder, right? You've got hitting, you got fielding, you got pitching, and you got weights on top of all the classes. Like it's just again choices. Like that's
But
all.
that's dope. Keep doing both for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So I doubt we're gonna get another question here. So I'll wrap it up. I know that you've got a wife and kids to get back home to. What is it? 9 o'clock over there. Love that.
Yeah.
Let's go. Awesome. So man, I really appreciate it today. I for one learned a lot, man. I love picking, these calls are like secret one-on-one calls for myself. I ask questions that I
I
want to
feel the
learn.
same way.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, I'm learning. I'm opening up to my community, but I'm asking questions that I want to know to make me a better person because I'm always on the pursuit of getting more information, more knowledgeable. Maybe there's something that you say and the way that you say it that unlocks something in my brain that helps me become a better person tomorrow, that gives me the ability to help these kids, in a manner that then whatever, it's a trickle effect of everything in life. So I appreciate it, man. Tons of value.
Bro, this is dope. I love what you're doing. Like you're a great speaker. You do a great job. It's so obvious that you care. Like these guys are really lucky to be working with you.
Definitely. Thank you.
And
And
when I
and
think,
go, oh, go ahead.
go ahead. No, no, go ahead.
I was gonna say, go ahead and tell them, I'll pull this up real quick. I'll let you give some time to plug this. Like, tell us about this. What is this?
Thanks, bro. Look at you, man. So, guys, this is our school community. You maybe never heard of school, SKOOL, but it's free. This will always be free. We pro guys, I've got around 70 other pros in here, either current or former. And we're all sick of everybody being an expert on social media and teaching y'all like what to do. So we decided as pros to get together and try to provide as much value to y'all as possible. Like I said, for free. Like everybody's so skeptical when you hear something's for free now. You're like, all right, what's the catch? Like, I promise there's not a catch. Just come click around. You can ask any of us, me, a question at any time, and we'll get back to you. And it's very similar to what's going on here, but we've got like one call a week. We've got a classroom. I just dropped the hitting module. Like, if you feel like you're a guy that you've been taught to stay back or stay inside the ball and you don't really pull the ball that well, and you just feel like you've got more power in the tank. I literally, if you click classroom, there is a course on there of exactly the drills that I learned. Oh, I've got it locked. You got to be level 3. You got to come say what's up to the group and then you'll have it unlocked. But it's a cool thing, man. So yeah, hit me up on school. My Instagram is at Jantzen Witte. You can hit it up through your Hefe here. And
Yep.
dude, I appreciate you letting me plug that. It's going to be really cool.
Definitely, man. And again, guys, like this is the last thing I'll say. Like, guys like Jansen and I are here to provide you the best information that we can possibly give you guys. Like, there's not too many guys out there in the world that are going to provide the level of service and in-depth knowledge of somebody who's one, been there, and two, understands like what they're talking about than like a Jansen Witte. So if you have the time, if you want to reach out to me on Instagram, I'll put Jansen's Instagram in the group chat as well. Like, get a part of communities like this because, like he said earlier in the call, there's a new wave of coaches, and with how we have technology set up, like, you're no longer having to work with just the guy who's your local, travel ball coach just because like that's the only guy you know. Like, there's guys like us who are online. For every one of the people that you have like in your backyard, there's like 3 of me and Jansen's out there building online communities and giving as much information away as possible. So do your research, reach out to me, reach out to Jansen. What's your Instagram one more time?
It's just my name, JANTZENWITTE. So it's kind of weird at Jantzen Witte. But dude, I really appreciate it. Thanks for letting me plug my stuff. And I'm really kind of like proud of what you're doing. It's really cool.
Yeah, thank you, man.
You
Hey,
can tell it's
likewise.
our passion. Like
Yeah,
it's obvious.
likewise as well. Awesome. Well, appreciate you guys. Y'all have a good rest of the Veterans Day weekend. Hopefully y'all get to bed early and get after it tomorrow. Hopefully you're motivated to do some good things tomorrow. Talk to y'all soon.